Thank you everyone. Your Excellency President Bola Tinibu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, members of the media here present, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, Your Excellency, to express my deep sense of welcome to you and your esteemed delegation to our country, South Africa. As we gather here on the occasion of the 11th session of our binational commission, we affirm once again our close bonds of friendship as well as solidarity, a friendship that has existed between our two countries for a very long time. We are two countries united in purpose and vision. We will remain forever grateful as South Africa to Nigeria for its leading role in the international campaign against apartheid tyranny in South Africa. As we mark 30 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations between Nigeria and South Africa, we see a bright future for our relationship. Our strong bonds of friendship provide a firm foundation for our two countries for more meaningful economic cooperation. Nigeria is a host to a number of South African companies that operate in Nigeria. South Africa has always been open for Nigerian businesses, and this has been reflected in a number of investment and operations established in this country as well. But there is much more that we need to do in this regard. We need to remove the remaining constraints to greater investment, just as we need to address some of the challenges that companies experience. We are encouraged by the actions that are being taken under your leadership, Your Excellency, to further strengthen and foster business environment in Nigeria that offers assurances to investors, including from South Africa. Our government continues with its efforts to improve the ease of doing business in South Africa. We want to enable investors to promote and operate their businesses in a manner that will enable them to pursue various opportunities in various sectors of the economy. We look forward to seeing more Nigerian companies investing in South Africa. In fact, we want to see Nigerian products on the shelves of South African shops. Our efforts to create a favorable environment include our simplified visa process for Nigerian business people to travel to South Africa. Qualifying Nigerian business people can be granted a 5-year multiple entry visa. In addition, tourists from Nigeria are now able to apply for a visa without even submitting a passport. We expect that this 11th session of our binational commission will enable us to consolidate cooperation in a number of other areas And we need to implement the many decisions that have already been taken between our two countries to follow up progress that has been achieved. Nigeria is South Africa's largest trading partner in West Africa. However, there is much more opportunity that is there for growth. The African Continental Free Trade Area will allow our two countries to trade in a more seamless manner across a variety of products. And this is the time for us to seize the opportunity to begin robust trading between Nigeria and South Africa. So our two countries are important countries in various respects in our regions on the African continent. We are also important in terms of our voice in the international arena as Nigeria and South Africa. As responsible members of the community of nations, we ought to be concerned about the future of our global system of governance. In an increasingly volatile environment globally, we are witnessing the erosion of the principles that underpin the peaceful conduct of relations amongst nations with respect to law and order and the development of our societies. Multilateralism is under threat. The rise of impunity, unilateralism, conflict and war highlights the urgent need for the reform of the United Nations Security Council and other global institutions. The Global South needs to lead efforts to achieve an international system that is fair, is inclusive, and a system that in the end reflects what will advance the interests of people around the world. We commend your work as chair of ECOWAS to promote dialogue, mediation, and conflict resolution in the pursuit of peace. We applaud Nigeria's unwavering support to regional and continental unity. Our regional body, the Southern African Development Community, SADC, has been working to address challenges in our own neighborhood. We are seized with situations in the Eastern DRC and the post-elections developments in Mozambique. There is agreement that these challenges will be resolved through peaceful means. We are witnessing progress in the consolidation of democracy on our continent. This year alone, 19 major elections would have taken place in African countries. That in itself represents tremendous progress. It is important that regional and African Union instruments underpinning elections and governance are promoted and strengthened. South Africa has just assumed, as you well know, Your Excellency, the presidency of the G20. It will be the very first time that G20 members, leaders, will be holding their summit for the first time on African soil. We will place Africa's development, as well as the challenges facing countries of the Global South, firmly on the agenda of the G20. We will seek to galvanize support for the AU's Agenda 2063 as we pursue an inclusive global agenda as well. For South Africa, it is our view that in shaping global discourse programs should be tailored to ensure that in our societies no one is left behind. The challenge of inequality, of poverty, and unemployment also needs to be addressed frontally. Our premier continental organization, the African Union, will be having a change of leadership in this commission. As we approach the elections of the chairperson, the deputy chairperson, and commissioners at our summit early in the new year, we should emphasize the need for cohesion, unity, as well as a sense of purpose. The Commission to rededicate itself to addressing the development needs of our people as reflected in our continental programs must be reinvigorated. Once again, Mr. President, we are pleased and indeed very, very honored to have you here in our country at the southernmost tip of our beloved African continent, for you and I to co-chair the session of the Binational Commission. We look forward to receiving the reports from our ministers as our countries continue to strengthen cooperation. Our strong foundations of mutual respect, of trust, as well as collaboration must continue to endure. Together we must work to position our continent as the continent of the future and to realize the vision that was crafted by our forebears, that of a free, independent, stable, and peaceful Africa. This is what we need to continue committing ourselves to, so that we achieve the dream that the founding fathers of the African Union had in mind when they formed the OAU, which is now the African Union. Your Excellency, I thank you for being here. For us as South Africa, it is a real joy to have you and your delegation from Nigeria here in Cape Town today. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers and Head of Departments, the High Commissioner of South Africa to Nigeria, and the Acting High Commissioner of Nigeria to Southwest, senior officials of both African and Nigerian governments, members of the Chambers of Commerce, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I bring to you the fraternal greetings from the people and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am pleased to participate in the Nigerian South African Binational Commission BNC for the first time. May this edition of BNC be both productive and resourceful and historic. My love for this event is born of the storied and proud history of Nigeria, South African relationship, which has since been very strong since the end of apartheid and the birth of true democracy in this great country. Nigeria's contribution to that epic struggle represents noble and outstanding moments in our foreign policy and the history of our continent. The evolution role as a leading nation in this continent would believe in democracy, freedom, and equity. You have achieved this as our sister country. You deserve the freedom and justice, not the discrimination and suppression to which that terrible subject has been. Nigerians from all walks of life were mobilized in unity. I'm very happy to share with you the joy of freedom and democracy. It was for us historic responsibility that we discharged with pride and determination. As was expected, our effort put Nigeria on collision course with some powerful countries, but nevertheless, we were proud to be our brother's keeper, and that South Africa is our serious brother in such a critical time. This is the essence of brotherhood. We seek for this continent to stay side by side for the liberation, non-discrimination, for democratic good governance in support of the best and legitimate aspirations of the people. Just as we stood with you, we shall always bear in remembrance how South Africa was with us at the critical moment of our struggle against military regime. I say thank you once again. At my inauguration as president, my dear brother, you are one of the first to show support and be our guest at my inauguration ceremony. Once again, I say thank you very much. I'm equally pleased to have been part of the historic event at your inauguration after your re-election as president. I also recall that you took time out of your busy schedule to have meaningful discussion with me in collaboration to advance the development of Africa. Our discussion that day and our deliberations today due to honor a tradition established between our two nations. As successful governments on both sides have accorded due to recognition to our shared history of collaboration and cooperation. We must ensure that the spirit of the collaboration and cooperation between our two leading countries in Africa will intensify and deepen under our leadership of our respective nations. This is not a matter of choice, but of destiny that includes an historical responsibility that we hold the African people. The BNC has been in existence since 1999, with some 3 dozen MOU and agreements already in operation. The BNC has really come of age. But I must, however, sound a note of caution here. Let us not count on successes by number of MOUs and agreements signed. They will be mere papers until we implement them in spirit and in letter. The job of our senior officials will only achieve the desired goal if we did very well in implementing implementation. I'm pleased to note that this framework has achieved a lot. My desire is that we will accelerate the aspect that relates to youth development. Beyond natural resources, our most precious resource is the large and youthful population that exists in both our countries. These young people represent the future. They are the demographic that must be tended, invested in, and have their skill and potential harvested for development and the goals of the continent. My administration built an inclusive government in which young people are now in charge of some of the key sectors of the economy. Believing the future for them must start now. Let us connect Nigerian youth and the South African youth and leverage their potential for development. Many South African companies such as MTN, MultiChoice, have found their way into Nigerian market, while Dangote, Access Bank, and others financial institutions have also entered the South African market. But that's not enough. I cannot pretend that all this is done perfectly well. However, believe we can identify the gaps and challenges, including persistent irritation in relations, and deal with them appropriately. To me, this is the real essence of BNC. Together, we can act as engines of economic integration, development in our prospective sub-regions, as well as on the continent. We also have a strong role to play in the successful implementation of the free trade areas. The continent looks up to us, and we cannot afford to fail them. We need to leverage the potential of the partnership to strengthen economic, political, business, and other areas of political collaboration. Our success will change the negative narrative of seeing Africa as a continent marred by poverty, conflict, without leaders to offer the kind of transformation, reform the continent deserves. You and I will not let that go away. As the adage goes, the glory of the eagle does not please the kite. Let us remain mindful of the overt and covert hostilities that the success of our partnership will attract. If we are vigilant, committed, and persistent, we will surely soar like the eagles over the reach of predators. So we must remain strongly united on purpose. Mr. President, one thing I would like this edition of the BNC to explore is the possible need to establish an anti-illegal mining group in the African nations. Our natural resources are supposed to be mined for betterment of our people. However, this seems to be fragmented to a concerted effort flowing in the opposite direction. Throughout Africa, illegal mining is not only robbing our nations of precious income, which could foster development. Sponsored by powerful outside forces, such mining is fomenting strife, servitude, poverty, environmental degradation, and undermining the reach of legitimacy in governance. We cannot allow this inland piracy to become a scourge to our good and healthy design for our people. South Africa and Nigeria should and must take the lead to placing this issue before the global community and resolving it for the good of African continent and its people. Nigeria would like to join South Africa and the African Union in the G20. Congratulations, my friend. You are now the president of G20 group of nations. As South Africa assume the presidency, we urge that the position be leveraged for the development of our continent. This highly strategic partnership between South Africa and us must become a model of leadership and shared vision that will inspire and take our people into a brighter and greater future of prosperity and development in Africa. That is what we want. That's what we are here to pledge. I thank you for listening.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, President Tinubu. As agreed, President, we were informed that our friends who are on that other side of the aisle have been working very hard since this morning, and they made a plea for time to be given to them to go and rest.
All right, that's President Ramaphosa and his counterpart from Nigeria, President Bola Tinibu.